A very good afternoon, everybody. Myself Mamta here, and I'm from Khuni Majra, Mohali. And today I'm going to discuss about the topic of fundamental troubleshooting procedures that belong to the subject installation and maintenance and troubleshooting of computer networks. First of all, let's go through the overview of the lecture, that the topics that we will be discussing about. First one is introduction of troubleshooting, then is fault location, then fault classification, fault finding aids, and troubleshooting techniques, and various troubleshooting methodologies, hardware troubleshooting tools, and software troubleshooting tools. And the last topic will be measuring instruments in the troubleshooting of the computer networks. First of all, what is the introduction of troubleshooting? The computers, these are very good when they function well and allow you instant communications with the world. And the computer systems have the ability to entertain the entire family of the networking. When a PC does not work right any longer, it creates a problem for the users. Without the right information, it is extremely difficult to overcome an error or any failure in the system. Fault is concerned with detecting the problems and resolving them related to the hardware or software. Fault detection means what kind of errors are coming in the systems and how to identify them and how to resolve them related to any hardware or software problem. Fault location, what is that? Faults occur quite often when we use our computer systems, and by having the knowledge about computer systems, we can easily rectify the faults that come in the system. And the location of the fault describes the type of different faults. Faults can be either hardware related faults or they can be either software related faults which interrupt the normal working of any computer system. So, fault location means to find what kind of different faults occur during the working of the system. Classification of various kinds of faults are hardware faults, software faults, security related faults, and boot time faults. What are the hardware faults? It is one of the classification of the faults, that is whether the source of the fault is hardware device or any other component in the system. Hardware faults are easy to troubleshoot as the symptoms of the faults are quite obvious and visible to the person. For example, if the power supply unit of the computer system fails, the computer will not power up and it will definitely not function properly. Sometimes the hardware faults can be difficult to find if the faults and the symptoms only appear intermittently, that is, the fault is not present at all the times. That is why these are the faults which are very difficult to identify. For example, some hardware components only develop faults under certain conditions, such as when the temperature of the device reaches a certain threshold, it can form a fault. Hardware faults sometimes can be rectified quickly by replacing the failed component with a new one, usually common field replaceable unit, that is FRUs. These are simply common components that can be replaced on the field with reasonable ease. The examples of FRUs are hard disk drives, floppy disk drives, optical drives such as CD, DVD, CDR, etc., memory like RAM, sound cards, video cards, keyboards and mouse, network interface cards, etc. These are the FRUs which can be replaced by the other new component in the system if it is found faulty. The software faults are those which are caused by some software components. Software components may be a part of the system software or application software. As we know, the softwares are of two types, system software and application softwares. That is why they can become the cause of the software faults. The software faults are very difficult to troubleshoot, even though the source of the problem is found to be software, and moreover it is not clear which software component is actually causing the fault. That is why the software faults are difficult to troubleshoot. Software faults contain the faults that can occur because of the system software, which is a system software fault that caused by the system software. The operating system is regarded as a system software. As we all know, some application softwares might also install some system components that it needs to run, and that can become source of the faults. What are the application software faults? These are those types of faults that are rooted in the application software components of the system, and these types of faults only affect the application softwares in use, and the rest of the system operates normally. The source of the software faults can be caused by the following. It can be either a software component corruption, means corruption or malfunctioning of any software component, system incorrect configuration, the documented and undocumented bugs or errors, and then there is compatibility problem, that is hardware compatibility or the software compatibility. Next are the security related faults. These are the faults that develop in the systems and may have their source in hardware or software or configuration of the system or design of the system. Mostly security related faults occur due to the following reasons. First one is the improper configuration of the system, unpatched software bugs, system design flaws or errors, and undiscovered security holes. Some other faults may be hardware fault with a firewall device may expose the systems that would normally be protected by firewall device. What are the boot time faults? The boot time faults are the faults that occur during the startup sequence of a computer system. During the starting of a computer system, the faults that raises are the boot time faults. These are critical as they can potentially halt the boot sequence, possibly halting the whole system and making it unusable. They can have their source in software, usually due to improper configuration, missing system files, or incompatibilities, usually after new software has been deployed, and hardware failure, usually due to boot device, typically hard disk failure, and also due to other major components failure such as RAM and video, etc. Next comes the fault finding aids, the different methods to finding the different faults. The fault finding aids refer to finding the faults and troubleshooting them that may occur due to improper working of any hardware device or any software component in the system. Troubleshooting is a form of problem solving often applied to repair the failed products or processes of a system. Troubleshooting is needed to develop and to maintain complex systems where the symptoms of a problem can have many possible causes, and it is used in many fields such as engineering, system administration, electronics, automotive, etc. In general, troubleshooting means to identify and diagnose the trouble in the system which is caused by failure of some kind, maybe because of the failure of hardware components, maybe because of the failure of software components. Trouble may arise in the working of whole system. So troubleshooting means to identify and to rectify the trouble in the system. There are two major stages in troubleshooting process. The first stage is to identify the issues, and the second stage is to perform the actual repair of the system. While identifying the issues, we must do the following. First one is to gather the information about the problem, to verify the issue, and to try quick fixes and use appropriate diagnostic processes, perform a split half search, which is a kind of divide and conquer technique to rectify the issues that has been raised in the system, to use additional resources to research the issues, and last is to escalate the issue if necessary. After we have identified the issues, we must do the following steps. Then is to repair or to replace the faulty item. Verify the repair by testing the product thoroughly, to inform the user of what you have done to repair the system, and then to complete every administrative task related to the issues that you have identified. Then there comes the troubleshooting techniques, mean the various methods which are used to troubleshoot the problems that arise during the working of the system. First troubleshooting technique is testing. So test is a standardized way to guarantee the safety of a system. Software testing is an investigation conducted to provide users with information about the quality of the product and the service under test. The software testing also provides an objective, independent view of the software to allow the business to appreciate and understand the risk at implementation of the software. Testing techniques are not limited to the process of executing a program or application with the intent of finding bugs. Testing is a technique in which you can find various kind of errors that occur during the execution of a program or any application to find the bugs. Software testing can also be stated as the process of validating and verifying that a software program meets the business and technical needs that guided its design and development. Means to identify and to verify the business and technical requirements of a system during its design and development, then works as expected. The system is working as it was expected in earlier stages of design and development. It can be implemented with the same characteristics. Without changing the characteristics, you can implement the system using testing techniques. Software testing can be implemented at any time in the development process. Next troubleshooting technique is the diagnostic softwares. The use of diagnostic software tools is very useful in saving time. These tools are not used to identify the cause of the system problem, but also they can often provide valuable information about what is in your system and how it is working. Some of these are free of cost and are included in the common operating systems at no additional charges, while Some are commercial products that are quite expensive, and computer diagnostic software can take many forms. Some focuses on diagnosing hardware, while other allows you to improve the performance of the computer. Most common diagnostic software tools that are used are: first one is Microsoft Diagnostic Tool. It is also known as MSD.exe, and this is a small DOS utility that takes a brief inventory of the contents of your PC and shows them to us in a text-based format. This tool is very useful for seeing what disks are in the system, how much memory is installed, and also for checking the system resource usage. It will also show us what type of BIOS we are using. Second diagnostic tool is Windows 95 Device Manager, which is most useful tool for identifying the system configuration and resource usage information under Windows 95. To access it, to open control panel and select system icon, then select device manager tab. We will see a graphical tree like structure showing all of our PC hardware. This tool is very useful for resolving resource conflicts that occur in the system. Next diagnostic tool is POST, that is Power On Self Test. It is not a separate diagnostic tool, but it is built into our system BIOS, and it runs every time we start our PC automatically. BIOS runs every time when we start our PC automatically. It is often the best indicator of system problems and always make us sure that we pay attention to its audio and video messages. Next diagnostic software tool is Norton System Information Tool, which shows a great deal of information about what is in the PC, but it is an information utility opposed to a true diagnostic process. Next comes the troubleshooting methodologies, which covers the following steps. First one is to identify the symptoms of the problem, identify the scope of the problem, establish what has changed on the network, and to determine the most probable causes of the problem. To determine the most probable cause of the problem, we have to verify user competency to recreate the problem, to verify the physical integrity and logical integrity of the network connection. So, in troubleshooting methodology, we also cover the following steps. One is implement a solution, to test the solution, to recognize the potential effects of the solution, and to document the solution which has been found. What comes under identification of the symptoms are various questions to help you identify the symptoms of a network problem. First one is to identify whether the access to the network is affected, whether the performance of the network is affected, whether the data or the programs or the both are affected, or only some network services are affected. These are the criteria which comes under the identification of symptoms of any network problem. The questions to help you identify the symptoms of a network problem may also be the following. If a program is affected, does the problem include local application, one networked application, or multiple networked application? One is also to identify all these three questions. whether the problem is due to local application, networked application, or multiple networked application. What specific error messages do user report about? Is one or more users affected by the problem? Do the symptoms manifest themselves consistently or not? Next is to, after identifying the problem in the system, next is to identify the scope of the problem, that is, how many users or network segments are affected by the problem, and when did the problem actually begin. If a problem is universal, if it affects the entire LAN, or when, you will naturally want to answer the above two questions very quickly. After identifying the scope of the problem, you have to establish what has been changed in the system. Did the operating system or configuration on the server, workstation, or any connectivity device change? Were new components added to the server or workstation or any connectivity device? Were old components removed from the server, workstation, or any connectivity device? Was a server, workstation, or any connectivity device moved from its previous location to a new location? Was a server, workstation, or any device replaced or not? Was new software installed on server or workstation or connectivity device? Or was any old software removed from server or workstation or any connectivity device? These are the issues that you have to consider while establishing the changes in the system. Whether the installation of new software was done or any removal of old software was done, whether the server or workstation was replaced, such kind of issues are to be discussed while establishing the changes in the system. Then comes the selection of most probable cause of the problem. Means you have to verify the user competency. You have to recreate the problem by doing following steps. Can you make the symptoms recur every time? Can you make the symptoms recur some of the time? Do the symptoms happen only under certain circumstances, or do the symptoms ever happen when you try to repeat them? These are the most probable causes of the problem in the system. You have to verify the physical connectivity by doing following. Is the device turned on? Is the network interface card properly inserted? Is a device network cable properly connected to both its NIC and the wall jack? Do the patch cables properly connect punch down blocks to the patch panels and the patch panels to the hubs or switches? These kinds of physical connectivities of various physical devices are to be verified in the most probable cause of the problem verification. And you also have to physically verify if the hub, router, switch is properly connected to backbone, or all the cables are in good conditions or not, all the connectors are in good conditions and properly seated or not. Do the network segment length conform to IEEE 802 specifications or not? Then comes the verification of the logical connectivity of the system, and the questions that may help to identify a problem with the logical connectivity is: do the error messages reference damaged or missing files or device drivers? Because of the error messages, some of the device drivers and some of the files are missed or damaged. Do the error messages references malfunctioning or insufficient resources? Has an operating system configuration or application been recently changed or introduced or deleted? Does the problem occur when only one application or a few or because of similar applications? Does the problem happen consistently? Does the problem affect a single user or multiple users? These are the factors that must be considered while verifying the logical connectivity of the system. After finding any kind of physical, logical connectivity of the system errors, we have to implement a solution. And the steps to help you implement a safe and reliable solutions are to collect all the documentations you have about a problem's symptoms that has been done in previous steps. After identifying the symptoms of the problem, you have to collect all the documentations about the problem's symptoms. If you are reinstalling software on a device, make a backup of the device existing software installations and perform the changes, replacements, moves or adds that you believe will solve your problem. Then is to test the solutions that you have prepared about that existing problem according to the documentations that you have done about symptoms of different problem. In testing of a solution comes after implementing the solution, it must be tested to verify that it works properly or not. Type of testing performed depends upon the solution. Often good to enlist the user who reported the problem in testing your solution too. Next is the recognition of potential effects of a solution. While implementing the solution, you have to consider the following factors: is the scope of the solution, various trade-offs, the security related issues related to solutions, scalability of the solution, and at what cost you have obtained the solution of a problem. After finding every solution related to the problem symptoms that occur in the system, you have to document the problems and the solutions by doing the following steps, in which the name, department and the phone number of the problem originator occurs. The information regarding whether the problem is software related or hardware related is documented. If the software related problem is there, the package to which it pertains, and if there is hardware related problem, the device or the component to which it pertains is documented in the system. The symptoms of the problem, including when it was first noticed and the name, telephone number of the network support contact, is also documented. The amount of time that was spent in troubleshooting the problem is also documented, and the resolution of the problem is also documented. These are the few questions, few steps that are documented, and these are related to the problem which was troubleshooted. Next comes the hardware troubleshooting tools, which covers crossover cable and tone generator and tone locator. The crossover cable is a cable in which the transmit and receive wire pairs in one of the connectors are reversed. It consists of the pair of wires in which there is a transmit and receive wire which is used for the connection over the network. A tone generator is a small electronic device that issues a signal on the pair of the wire, and a tone locator is a device that emits a tone when it detects electrical activity on the pair of the wire. So the combination of these two devices is known as fox and hound combination. This is the diagram